Today we're with Gina Worful, founder of Mastering Mindfulness Institute, who went from dietitian burnout to creating a method that helps people decode cravings, rebuild self-trust, and make health feel natural. If you ever white-knuckled your way through a plan, this one's for you. Gina helps True Solace patients and thousands online bridge science and soul using mindfulness to create real, lasting transformation. Well, Gina, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks, Jared.
Yeah. So, just for our listeners and everyone who may not already know who you are, which I would assume a lot of our listeners do already know who you are. I want to kind of go back to the creation of the Gina today, and kind of what are the journey aspects that got you to this understanding that you now share with all the wonderful people you're helping. So what was the pivotal moment that changed how you see success or purpose?
Yeah, the business and my own personal growth aspect both kind of came at the same time, that went from something that needed to be something that I needed to share with the world based on what I learned and what was the right way, to something that, what is the world really truly ready for? And I had this really big shift from doing things the right way and giving people nutrition plans and programs that I was taught as a dietitian, to having this quite pivotal moment of what is the world ready for and what is truly from my heart and soul, and that has actually been my own medicine or my own deeper healing. And that came from a lot of lessons and creating a business that was very out of alignment with myself, and that didn't actually really help people the way that I thought that it would. And it completely changed the way that my business is now. I guess I could rewind, explain that a little bit more from.
Well, you had a brick-and-mortar health center at one time. Mm-hmm. When did you move from that to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so 13 years ago, I became a dietitian, and I opened up a private practice in Michigan where I was seeing clients for their health and their nutrition. And, when you go to school to be a dietitian, you honestly think you're going to change the world. You're like, I'm going to learn all this stuff about nutrition. I'm going to change people's lives. And I really thought I was going to change the world. And then I opened up this practice, and I had clients coming in, but I was doing everything that I was taught the right way, which was give people their meal plans, tell them to count calories, and give them goals, weekly goals. And even though it was a very sound plan, it made sense. Calories in equals calories out. You tell people how to lose weight based on calories and goal setting. Every client that I had struggled. And that was very hard because I just did 7 years of college, an undergrad, a master's degree, and was told, this is how you help people. And now here I am with this private practice, having all these clients come in. And, there's a statistic out there that about 80 to 95% of diets fail long term. And so even though I had the credentials as a dietitian, I was getting those same results where none of my clients were having these life-changing transformations. And that put me into this place of what am I going to do? And I would ask other dietitians and other people in the same industry, and they would say, your job is to give people the plan, not to follow through. That's up to them. And I'm like, I get that, but every person is failing. What am I missing here? And I actually closed my practice, and I thought about quitting my career as a dietitian.
Wow.
Yeah. And at the same time, what was really hard, why I said my business was also out of alignment with myself, is I was trying to do what I was taught and track my food and count my calories. And I was white knuckling it, every day, you can do it. You can stick to your program. And I had to focus. And I was like, man, if it's hard for me, how is anyone else going to succeed? And so deep down, I had this fear of if I can't do it, how do I have a business where no one else is actually really succeeding and everyone is stressed? And I saw myself going through the same patterns that my clients were going through, which is we'd get really motivated, we'd hold on, you can do it, and then somehow sabotage it, and it would almost feel like something was hijacking my brain, and I would just all of a sudden give into these cravings, sabotage myself and then be like, what is wrong with you? You're the expert. You should know what you're doing. And my clients went through the same experience, and then you get motivated and you start over again. And so I realized that no one was asking the deeper question of, yeah, we get the perfect plan, but why do we sabotage it? Why do we struggle to really trust ourselves? And that was the question that I got so curious with. And I realized until I answer that question, I can't help people. I can't have a practice. And that's when I closed my practice. And I didn't do that for about 5 years.
Wow. When I hear you talk about you were going through it and you're experiencing the same thing as your patients are experiencing, and you talk like it was out of alignment, because when you run a business in alignment and you pay attention to your alignment, you can't hide from these things. And then it gets to a point where you no longer can do the thing.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, no, I literally can't even take someone's money anymore.
And what's crazy is, I had clients coming in paying like $100 an hour for a session, and they were quitting. They wanted refunds. It was like, how am I ever going to get anywhere when I'm checking the box. I'm doing the right things that I should do for a dietitian's practice, but yet they're struggling. I can't keep business, and I haven't gotten a single good testimonial. What am I doing?
The white knuckling part, I love how you use that phrase, and it fits perfectly. But when I think about life, and I think about like being a business owner, like you and I are, and the aspects of finding where I have blind spots being a business owner.
Yeah.
And they're called the blind spot for a reason, because you don't see it. And so that's just like one piece of life. And I've been doing business for many years, but I've been eating food for many more. And so no wonder the programming would be so deep. And so what you just shared, oh my gosh, I'm getting the goosebumps. It paints such a beautiful painting on the canvas of what you've built now, because it's full commitment. It's like for the masculine side of me, it's burning all the ships. We are here and we are not leaving. But maybe we're not going to war. Maybe we're here to help. And I resonate with that so deeply, because then there's no way whatever you create, which you have created now, won't be in alignment.
Yeah.
And then showing up for what's in alignment is easy.
Yeah.
It's easy to work when we're in love with what we do. And when I took your course, that's what I experienced. It was you embody what you teach, and so like as a parent, we don't tell our kids what to do. I'm a parent. I show them through my actions, and I give them little pieces of reference points so they can establish it themselves. Yeah. That was the distinguishing difference I noticed from just like a meal plan to curiously try this.
I think that you shared something on Instagram recently about when you're in alignment, everything flows.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're talking about creating your business or whether you're talking about being on your health journey, I think what people try to do is to force without having alignment, and then you're met with resistance. And so one of the biggest things that allowed for more ease to flow is really looking at what are the places that I'm forcing that I'm not in alignment. And so how that might look from a health perspective is, instead of having these things that are pushing back and trying to force myself to be healthy, I might start asking, what are the places that I actually push back against the thing that I want? And that might mean that I want to be healthier, but I don't believe that that I deserve to take care of myself, or I don't believe that I deserve to spend money on myself, or that I haven't understood what this food is providing for me. Maybe it's comfort, maybe it's regulating my nervous system and making me feel better. And so you try to force without first looking at what are all the things that I have pushing against it. And that was that place that I got curious with. Why are we sabotaging ourselves? What is bumping up against the very thing that we want? And when we look at those things, that's where we start creating health from I am good enough. I do deserve to take care of myself. And I would imagine that that's similar in business as well, that instead of forcing yourself to try harder, it's like, where do you believe that you're worthy of your desires, that you're worthy of also taking care of yourself and your business, and making sure that it's aligned with what you truly believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it flows so much easier.
The forcing, everyone's probably already experienced the forcing in health, so they have like a reference point. But I do see the value in understanding what it feels like to force, and then taking that understanding and trying something else. Because I think in business especially, like when I created this or when I've created other things, there's a lot of excitement and creation and like driving energy in the beginning. And I would never like take that away. I think it's part of the journey. So it's like the rocket takes off, and then it's like maintaining, you know, the direction. But we do need a blast off. And I would say even in diet, food, curiosity, for me, you know, making forceful or white knuckle decisions gave me the understanding to understand what you were telling me about. Mm-hmm. So I do think the first step, if I was to put my perception onto this, the first step is take a step, and then analyze how it went, and then get curious. And then I found your course. So there really isn't a right way to do anything.
What you just described there is how people rebuild trust with themselves to get out of those cycles of where they get motivated, they sabotage themselves, and then they start over. We're in this world where it's like messing up is bad. Messing up means that you failed. And so with that judgment, then we just keep trying harder and remotivating ourselves, whether it's with health or with business. And when you shift to that place, just like you said, of getting really curious, now you're understanding, and then you propel and launch forward. And that is how you build trust with yourself. And that was the huge pivot that I had to make, was to tell people it's not about willpowering your way through, but starting to get curious. And that is what really changed my life, because when I was trying to do the things I was taught, like meal plans, it was really hard because when I sabotaged myself, I had so much self-judgment. But anything that you judge, it holds its power over you. Your habits, your repeat patterns, they hold their power over you. And so I kept repeating the same cycles until I used what you explained beautifully, which was curiosity, of like, what do I have to learn from this experience? And that's when I realized that for me, purpose, one of our good friends, Raj, said this to me, that was my pivotal moment in understanding purpose. He said, purpose isn't what you do, it's who you are. And I started to realize that my purpose and my creation was understanding and solving my deepest pain point. And those were my gifts, and that was what I was here to do. And my only task was to understand my pain and understand myself. And then I stopped creating a business based off of meal plans are the right way to do it, but to feel so deeply, why was I struggling? And to look at the places I had so much shame and guilt around with honest vulnerability, and explore it and understand every aspect of it and share that with the world. And that's when I made this big pivot to understanding that purpose isn't the thing that you do, it's who you are. And so now I've been creating from that place ever since, of like, what are the core lessons that my soul is here to learn, the pains that I'm going through that I understand better than anybody else.
So purpose is who you are and not what you do. What is purpose? Within purpose is who you are. Tell me more about who you are from that statement.
I think part of what I feel like I'm here to do, part of my natural gifts, is I think I have the ability to go to some of the most painful, shameful places that people experience and like put a voice to those experiences and help people understand with love and compassion. There are a lot of things that people have a hard time talking about, why we have moments of where we eat food choices that we don't feel proud of, or lose control, or the thoughts that we have around how hard on ourselves that we can be. And by understanding that in every moment we're trying to do something to help us through a difficult moment. Unhealthy food helps us through painful moments. It can help us through moments of loneliness, of overwhelming stress. Our self-judgment is a deep pain to just want to belong and do better and do good enough. And if we can take those painful moments and wrap them with love and curiosity and understand them, whether we're on our health journey or on our business journey, there's so much understanding that comes from that. And I think that is part of my purpose, is to be able to put words and to some of these really painful experiences and understanding. When I was in Costa Rica a couple years ago, I'll never forget, a shaman said that what we must teach is the medicine for ourselves. And every time I teach these parts of exploring, why did I sabotage myself? Why did I have these cravings? It takes a lot of courage and a lot of vulnerability. And I feel myself want to close and contract to share some of those things and those stories. But then I realize, like, it feels like something I must teach because it is my deep medicine. And I think that that's where, for me, my business has been my journey to my own personal growth.
Yes.
Because I'm sharing some of the most vulnerable places of myself in service of other people.
Being a business owner is such a massive, I don't love the word blessing. Let's try to find a different word, but such a big blessing because, like, as a parent, children are my mirror so much all the time, my greatest mirror. And then work, the other big portion of time, I get all these people I love and work with, and we're all figuring out our wiring. And in business, sometimes you're getting things done, so you get to rub up a little more than just hanging. And it's amazing what we get to learn. Yeah. And when I hear you talk about it's the thing for you, that is the truth. That is the purpose.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the thing? Why did I come here? What did I come here to remember and figure out about me and share with everyone?
I think that question about purpose is, what are the gifts that feel so natural to you that you feel can be your contribution to the world? Whether it's, for me, it's creating like this safety and this compassion and self-trust for people. And for you, it might be to be in a place of leadership and to guide others toward a vision, or whatever feels so natural that it's just truly who you are.
Yeah.
Not what you do or not what you create, but
what you're willing to do for free. That's that's how I've kind of been able to pinpoint it a little more. Like, what are the things I noticed over the years that I accidentally do a lot for free and I love, and I'm like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, and what you really described about this like journey through business, it's all the same. Whether you're like on this deeply challenging health journey, or you are on your legacy with your business and what you're creating, it is like those challenges are going to come. And the more that it's like you don't want to look at those challenges, which is kind of what the health world teaches us, is like just willpower, just succeed. The more that you stay stuck and the more that you're open with curiosity and you see that like failures are not in the way, they're on the way to trying and to getting uncomfortable. And it's going to require patience and tenacity and a recommitment to your vision and your desires over and over and over again. And I saw a lot of people who got stuck with their health journey and they would go back and they would quit, was because they expected themselves to be perfect. And when they hit up against those edges of looking at where they were struggling and it wasn't so perfect, then they would quit and go back and start over again. But when they see it as like, this is perfect, these are all the lessons that I need in order for me to grow. Maybe I'm here learning to love myself, to build my confidence, to build my self-trust, and I need these challenges to be my teachers, then you can see the greater perspective that this is for my evolution and for my growth, and my vision and my desires and my purpose, whether it's related to health or business, it has to be bigger than the discomfort of like all these bumps that I'm hitting up against. And it's just a recommitment to your desires over and over and over again, just to keep going all the way through.
It like the universe will always have our back, much more than we can even ever. No, I don't know about. We can comprehend, but it's hard to comprehend in the moment, and it doesn't need to be comprehensible. But I think if anyone's my best of best friends, it's my higher self or the universe and God, who's like, no, I got your back more than you could ever understand, and your front, and all of it, because this is what you truly desire, not a bigger bank account, sexier abs. Like, those can all sit inside of it, but they're not the thing. Like, they're not. It truly is. So when I hear you talking about how you get to share and you get to crack people open from who you are and your purpose, I think of, I can't remember where I heard this, but if someone was at a party and they had a lot of discomfort in like bigger groups or just interacting with more than 2 people or something like that, and they're just like feeling it. Well, if we speak the discomfort, if we just speak it, instantly it's diminished and almost goes away and turns to the curious, I'm going to find out how to turn you into superpower. You could tell everyone, I'm so uncomfortable right now, but I'm going to figure this out. And they would just love you. But if you're like, no, I'm not telling anyone. Well, everyone knows. They're watching you wear it. So it's kind of like, when is this not fun anymore? And when do I want to not be ashamed of anything? And just claim that this is hard.
I'm totally smiling right now because you're actually perfectly describing what that pivotal moment was for me. So because I was trying to put on the perfect face of like, I have it all together, but really internally deeply struggling with like, I don't have it all together for myself or for my clients. And that pressure of trying to have it all together was just drowning me. And it was really at this moment when I was at a retreat where you and I met, and 2 of my closest friends came up to me and they like basically cornered me, and they were like, Gina, what is going on with you? And I was like, what do you mean? And this was like the most terrifying moment I could have ever faced. And they were like, you are the healthiest person that we know. What is going on? We can see, like, you just energetically even, you feel heavy. Like, what is going on with you? And that was the hardest moment because I was finally seen in my pain. But it was the hardest mirror. But when I finally had that acceptance and I just burst out crying and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. But that changed the trajectory I was on, from trying to like have it all together and have it figured out and forcing myself to do things the old way, to being honest about like, I don't know why I'm struggling and why all my clients had been struggling. And then that started a new path of like, let's figure it out. Like, let's actually start getting curious and do something different. And that's when I started to shift my attention from forcing myself to do the old way of doing things to bringing my attention to myself and understanding myself. And then that became the most powerful thing for me to access. Like, there's nothing more powerful than understanding yourself. But I had to have that moment of not trying to pretend anymore that I had it figured out, but to fully surrender and be like, I don't have this figured out. But it changed my life, and it changed my business, and it changed the way that I work with people. It was that moment that you perfectly described.
A lot of us have our own versions of these moments, and lots of times there's multiple, but I'd say there's like a singular one that's like stands out the most, like the highest 90 degree or 180 degree change. these are also something that I find when we're in it, especially before that day where you like curiously see and can't unsee. It feels like it's the hardest, heaviest, unbearable thing we're ever going to go through. And when will this ever pass? And why does life have to be like this? And someone that I hold very dear, when I was in that, back when we met, and might have been a year or before right then, I was telling her like, hey, things are like starting to get better, and I'm still totally figuring it out, but I'm not like at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And she said to me, remember how you feel and who you are today. Remember what I'm saying to you right now, because there will come a time down the road where you will forget pieces of this, and you'll remember that I told you to remember, and you can use that as a piece to know who you are at your core while you're doing this journey. And this rings so true because when we get back into the swing of things, we accidentally get in that accidental programming again, and it starts to weaken as life, like, or whatever we're doing, like maybe it's not as tight, but the greatest beauty in life, I think, is in the suck, is in the difficulty, because it's when we meet ourselves at the realest point, and we're not doing the BS other thing. Like, I don't know, I don't have friends that are not like really deep. I just don't have them. Yeah. They just don't exist.
I love that.
And so that's how it should be with us.
Yeah.
Depth with us. And that's what I learned in your course, was like a new version of depth that only Gina could give to me, or another version of someone out there who's similar to you, but I hadn't met that person yet. And so it was Gina. And Gina's nutrition course hit me all over the place. Like, it definitely tackled food, but it went out into other pieces completely. And I would foresee that happening with a lot of people who go through your course.
Yeah, food is amazing because we think of it as like this thing that's a problem. Oh, I need to control it. I need to avoid these temptations. But food is actually a mirror. We have a relationship with food since the moment that we're born. You know, you're born and you start crying and you immediately start breastfeeding, and your body and nervous system's like, oh, I'm safe, I'm okay. And it's like, that's the very first relationship that we develop with food, is like, food, it makes me feel okay, it feels safe. And we forget that, like, all throughout life, we learn this relationship that's like, oh, when I was sad and my mom made me this food, it made me feel better. Or when I was stressed and I was alone, like, this helped me in this moment. And so we have this incredible history with food from the time that we're born, and we see it at face value as like, oh, I just made this unhealthy food choice. But it's so cool because food can be a mirror for how does food actually make me feel internally. And then it also shows me, what am I looking for? And it can be a mirror for how we live, how we feel, what we're really needing. And a lot of that is like our unmet needs that that are not being fulfilled. So it's really cool. I talk about it through the entry point of food, but it's actually a way to really discover yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I believe the three things that we learn or get to, this is just a Jared belief, that we get to release and, find all of us and not be full choice: sex, money, and food. And it just seems like I would love to be, and I feel like I'm on my path to full choice, where, I'm full choice with food, because those three things are just such big things in this world that we're all working and giving ourselves away for money. And so many of us are out of choice in food. And there's many directions with sex, my goodness. So for me, what you say is so true, because they're like so business is like kind of attached to money, and then sex is attached to me for like how I show up in the world and how I'm safe, or how I can be all of me and like all of it together. And food totally is the entry point, because it is It just has such a high frequency. Why do diets fail? Why do most diets fail, and how does what you do differ so much than a restrict diet for those who don't understand what you do?
Like diet programs, even a lot of good health programs, they just fail to last long term. And I think it's because that self-trust piece hasn't been there. And so when you're trying to force yourself to do a diet or health program and you're mentally gritting, it's really only that knowing how to eat healthy is only about 5% of what drives our food choices. And we don't know that. We think, I know how to eat healthy. Why can't I just do it? Why can't I just stick to it? But underneath the surface of what really drives our behaviors is kind of what we talked about. It's in our subconscious mind. It's our feelings, it's our memories, it's our emotions that drive forward our food choices. And so your stress hormones will have a much stronger pull on the food choices that you make, a much stronger driver behind the food choices that you make than just knowing how to eat healthy. Your emotions, your nervous system. And so without turning your attention inward to ask, what am I feeling? What am I needing? What am I experiencing in my body? You might be making food choices based off of a stress response or an emotional need or something like that that's a deeper driver of your food choices, where we think it's all about just knowing how to eat healthy, and that's not really true. So the more that you can bring your attention from what's the right, of course, knowing how to eat healthy is important, but if you can move your attention from focusing so much on food and bring your attention inward to what am I really needing right now, what is driving my food choices, you'll feel so much stronger and more powerful in the food choices that you make by slowing down and making that food choice from a place of conscious connection with yourself.
So what I also hear is understanding why we make the choices gives room to not find so much failure in not being perfect through the curiosity. So like if we're curious around why we accidentally pulled again, then it's not we're bad and wrong. It's what's the story underneath this, and how do I better understand why I do this?
Yeah.
As opposed to, dang it, I failed again. Yeah.
Yeah, and think about, most people are so focused on the food that they grab these food choices without thinking, or they're on autopilot or just eating at a certain time without having any awareness of what's happening in here. But if you can, mindfulness is about awareness. Mindfulness is pulling your attention back in here. So before just impulsively grabbing a food, you might pause, and in that pause, you get this opportunity to slow down time and get a little bit curious. And so instead of having your attention in this impulsive food choice, you're going to pull your attention into your body and slow down. And in that slowing down, you can start to ask, does this food choice really serve me? Does it serve my highest desires, my goals? How will it feel in my body? What am I emotionally feeling right now? Is this food trying to provide something for me? Is it trying to make me feel better after a really long, stressful day? There are a lot of people, whether you're a mama or you're a stressed out business owner, but when we fill our lives with productivity and efficiency, we forget to create space for pleasure. And so at the end of the night, when we're deeply craving something to just make me feel good, which isn't bad, but sometimes when we check out and it's like, I need this to feel better, we can feel like maybe a victim is an intense word, but like a victim to our food or our cravings. But if we can slow down and feel, gosh, I just really want to feel good right now. Instead of looking at that food as the problem, I might start saying, where have I not given myself the deep nourishment and pleasure in my life that this food is providing? When I can answer that question, I don't have to even worry about the food, because I'll go on this adventure to find more pleasure in my life, and then I won't naturally crave the food to provide that for me. But by slowing down and kind of pausing time, you can feel in that space before I grab a food, what am I feeling, what am I needing, and what choice will be in my highest and best good. And if you can repeat that question again and again and again, you'll feel so powerful in your food choices instead of being driven by cravings, not understanding what's really happening with that just kind of impulsive grabbing. Slowing down and pulling your attention inward is the most powerful thing you could do.
Well, I love how that all ties into where I want to go next. So currently you've been helping teach mindfulness to True Solace's patients, and some of them taking some of your courses, and we're building that up even bigger right now. My question for you is, what, from your perception, is the missing piece that a lot of the clinics, medical clinics that are doing weight loss or GLPs or things that help people with their beautification and their healthiness of their body, what's the missing piece that you would say most of these clinics are missing?
Yeah, I think a lot of these tools are amazing and they've been life-changing for so many people. What I've seen to make a more powerful and long-lasting transformation is the connection that we have with ourselves, to be able to trust ourselves, to make a food choice that's in our best interest, to calm our nervous system so that our body feels safe to release weight and doesn't hold on, and to be able to not wait until we reach an end result to start loving ourselves and our bodies, but trusting that that's where transformation begins. And when we start in here, that's where we have a powerful transformation. When I love myself and I love my body, I show up differently for it. And now I'm working with these tools powerfully. I'm feeling empowered in my food choices. I'm feeling connected to my body, and I'm trusting in its signals. And I'm caring for myself from a place of, I love my body, I want to care for it. When we start in here, these tools become magnified and more powerful, and the transformation is a lot more long-lasting. And so it was interesting, kind of full circle, some of the clients who I worked with 13 years ago when I first started in my practice, and they were struggling and they quit, they now work with me in Mastering Mindfulness. Some of them are on GLP-1s, some of them are not, but they started working with me in Mastering Mindfulness, and now they're finally getting this long-lasting transformation and this momentum that is, it's not on and it's not off. When you're in connection with yourself, it's steady, it's stable. You can always make a choice from your best interest. So starting within, with understanding what drives your food choices, being in connection with yourself and your body, I think is really the missing link to making it stick and long-lasting, the results that they have.
So selling a transformation to your patients that they don't have to keep coming back, so that they can receive support in the transformation and then have the full tool set to manage after that on their own.
And whether they come back or whether they're done with their treatments or they continuously stay on their treatments, I think that the biggest thing is, what is their experience of the treatments? And I've had some of my students who are on GLP-1s, but yet they still find themselves sometimes losing control over their food or not making good healthy food choices, and they might be losing weight, but they're still having a challenging experience, and their body isn't quite getting to the healthy state that they're really looking for. And so understanding, if we don't understand what got us into these struggles in the first place, those struggles tend to just keep coming up. And a lot of the cravings, the challenges, the unhealthy food choices, they're really just messages from ourselves, from our bodies, that our bodies are needing something. And when we try to suppress those messages, it's kind of like covering up your mouth and it can't be heard. And so these tools are amazing, but some people do still struggle and have challenges because they're not listening and tuning inward. And so when we can look at the whole person of what are they experiencing, what are the challenges that they're having, that's when we start to move forward, and move forward with our health from a place that feels harmonious, that feels empowering, and then using these tools, it becomes synergistic.
When I think about, so the tools give the ability, and also what I also hear is the body has a different experience when it has the tools and understanding. And then I think about when winter's coming in the world and the snow is coming, animals will get ready for the winter and they'll hibernate because they want to survive through the winter. And that seems like a very good metaphor of what we might be doing when we are out of alignment and our body, the cells don't feel like they can trust each other. We don't feel like we're speaking from our heart to our mind. And there's not those reference points that we do have it together. Just today we do, but oh no, the day we don't. And so that feels like we're prepping for a storm, for a war. And so the body is going to be in that state. Mm-hmm. So it's not just the tools and the understanding, but it's the state you're in once it's there. Mm-hmm. Like you almost can't take it away. You might not want to look at it, but it's still going to be in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's beautiful, because I believe our tools are amazing. And even if they didn't work, most of them, I think we could probably receive 50% of the benefit if it was unplugged, if the patient believes it's going to work. Yeah.
A lot of it starts in here, in your thoughts, in your body. And I think it becomes more powerful. I think if we do any of these things, like in isolation, if you do the meal plan, but you're not tuning in to yourself, or you're doing the treatment, but you're not tuning into yourself, there's maybe a lot of resistance still. Like, I want this thing, but...
Like hanging on to it. Like we won't let it go.
I think until we understand how to trust ourselves with our food choices and what our bodies are really needing, it feels a lot harder. Mm-hmm. It feels a lot harder. And so when we start in here, you use these tools, but it becomes synergistic. The results become long-lasting as you're looking at your relationship with food, your own deeper beliefs about yourself, your body, your self-worth, and you're doing that in combination with these tools, and it becomes a permanent transformation rather than a Band-Aid.
It's funny because I consult people as well, and as I'm hearing you say this last part, I'm like, it's these bottlenecks that we create, and like, it doesn't matter how much I work on this piece or this piece and this piece, it's all funneling down to this like choke point that I don't want to change, because no, we're not looking at that. That's not a problem. And it's usually like this main thing that is the thing I want to learn. And it's the same with food. It's like, as soon as we just look at it, then we widen that and we get to, play with it. And in business, it's just like, we just can't see it. We point it out. And then even once we know what it is, then we have to gently, with curiosity, go massage it and play with it. Because it's like, we don't want to make it this failure, because it's not. It's a piece of data that we get to do something with now that we have the data. And that is all it is.
I love asking the questions that a lot of people won't ask. And so when I was a dietitian, I was asking this question, like, why do we give people plans, but then they struggle to stick to them? And no one wanted to answer that question. It was like the big elephant in the room. It was like, everyone had the perfect plan, but there's these statistics that 80 to 95% of them don't last. And so I wanted to ask these really hard, edgy questions, like, well, why is it that all of my clients are struggling to stick to them? And so if we can ask that question, maybe even in some of the, there's some research that's showing that when people go off GLP-1s, they regain the weight back. And so let's ask that deeper question. What is it that they're really missing? Are they missing this component of trusting themselves with food? And how do we fill in that gap? Are they missing this component of knowing how to trust their body's signals when they go off of GLP-1s? Let's fill in that gap. Where can we provide this education instead of pretending like those challenges aren't there?
100%.
Let's look at them with love and curiosity and say, how do we serve the whole patient, not just this one aspect of them, of like, how do we get them to the shortcut, but like, how do we provide them with all the things that they're truly struggling with?
There are no shortcuts. I mean, I think we can not take the long way sometimes, but the shortcut usually is a short circuit to short-circuiting everything out, because it just comes back in like full force on the backside. In business, it's the same way. Like, you try to shortcut learning something and it'll just come back tenfold when you've grown. Yeah, so I love that you said that, because with our GLPs, we do a full blood test every 3 months, and it's required.
Wow.
So, because there's not enough research on what it's doing based on dosing and like really what is happening. It's so new. And so we watch the body. And then I believe when we're watching the body and having those conversations, even if someone didn't take your course, we're dropping breadcrumbs to a bigger understanding of the whole, and not just let's melt all your fat off and that's all we're doing here, because there's no learning in that.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, the fat was here for you to teach you. So don't you dare give up your lesson. Or if you're going to handle it, learn the lesson.
And you can feel that what you've created here is a sanctuary for people healing, not just from an aesthetic place, but how you feel when you're here, the safety that you created for people to do a deeper exploration of this journey that they have been on. And you can feel that in the experience that you create for people. It's a safe haven for their healing journey.
And it's not everyone's favorite conversation to talk about how you don't look good in your swimsuit and you don't want to go to this thing or now you don't even care how you look in your swimsuit because you've just pushed that thought away. And that's not fun. And who cares how you look in your swimsuit? Only person that matters is you. But we turn it around and we give all of our power to everything outside of us. And so what I hear from you is let's put it back to us, back inside. Well, this has been beautiful. Just telling everyone about the magic that you share. To kind of wrap up, what does building an empire without losing your soul in life or in business mean to Gina? And from, creating your business, born in your deepest pain, and grind, I think you've said grind is more of a depletion. And when you find yourself in flow or creation and the feminine energy, it's like, I'll let your words describe it.
Well, that's a big question for sure. If I come back to purpose isn't what you do, it's who you are, I realize that my work was created from my pain, from my gifts, and the only way that I can stay connected to that is by slowing down and creating the spaciousness to really truly connect to that and to connect to my gifts. If I focus too much on productivity, efficiency, doing things the right way, I start to box in my work, and it feels like the essence of my work is starting to die. And the more that I create spaciousness and nourish myself and feel this journey that I've been on and what my natural gifts are, it like breathes life back into my business again. And so for me, I realized that the most powerful way for me to grow is not to grind through productivity, but to stay so connected to the soul of my work and what wants to be shared with the world and what the world is really ready for and really needs. And that's when I feel like momentum happens and it just like breathes life into my business again.
Yeah, like trying to get done a list of things that need to get done so you can get this next thing going. I feel like sometimes it's really hard to get the task on the list done. But when I'm in the other perception of like, we're building this because oh my gosh, we're almost there. Like, I'm going to stay up till midnight tonight. But that doesn't feel like a grind. It's like, I'm just so excited and there's time right here to do it.
Yeah.
Because the grind, it does feel like it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 times longer to get it done. And then also whatever got done is soulless.
Yeah. And it's not so much that you can't work hard or focus. And I would imagine that what you've created has taken a lot of hard work. But what I can also feel the difference is if it was this grind to create as much weight loss, office treatment rooms as possible, you would have this stone cold clinic that is getting people in and out. But when I walk in here, I feel the love and care that you put into the soul of this business that is like, this is a sanctuary. Like, you can feel the energy here. You can feel that your heart wanted to create a safe space, a healing space. And that to me is like staying connected to the soul of your business and why you're really doing this. And it really shows in all of the hard work that you've put in.
Oh, thank you. Likewise to everything you shared about what you've built. And this is why we're collaborating and doing things together. Yes, exactly. Well, Gina, it's so fun to hear, like, I don't even know if I've heard all of these beautiful words, and I've heard you share a lot about this in the past. But I want to leave one last thing with our listeners. If you could leave one truth or practice or something that would benefit our listeners that are on a similar path, what would you leave them with today? It could be like a short mindfulness, like meditation, or just like something like what would be a juicy thing we could give our listeners?
What I'm really just feeling right now is that when in doubt, trust the process. To see the greater perspective when you're in your struggles, as we need these challenges and struggles for our growth. And if we can look at that bigger, greater perspective, we can trust the process that we're in and ask these questions like, what am I here to learn? Am I here to learn my leadership, trusting myself, loving myself, trusting my body? Whatever this journey is for you, to just trust the process that you're in and keep going.
So find the golden nugget in everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
One of the biggest things that was so impactful for me was Panache Desai's book, You Are Enough, and he said, every challenge is here for the purpose of awakening you. And when I read that, I realized that my painful struggles were here to teach me about myself. And that has kept me in it, whether it's through this business journey or my health, that has kept me in it every time. Like, this struggle is here for the purpose of awakening me, for teaching me something about myself. And that has allowed me to keep going instead of giving up.
I love that. So everything is there for you, and when you acknowledge it, the part that felt hard completely turns upside down and can be magically beautiful. So not only do you get to shorten the duration, but you get to shorten the experience and you get to up-level the gift. It doesn't make sense not to lean into your little beautiful thing you left. Well, thank you so much for being on today, Gina.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks everyone for watching this next episode of The Hatch Point, and until next time, we'll see you then.